Let's talk to Bryan Noble. He's the founder of Trader Noble. Bryan, Happy New Year to you and your family. Right, let's talk stock markets. You do a daily report. Technically, the markets are very overbought in your world. And what does that actually mean?
Well, it means we haven't had a 3% correction since Trump got elected, which is just incredible. The S&P hit the third standard deviation at 27.92 2 weeks ago. We're now trading at 28.10 today as we wait to see if the impasse with the government shutdown with the Washington vote at 5 p.m. London time today.
Yep.
It's just incredible. To me, it's reminiscent of what happened in Japan back in 1988. The Japanese Nikkei hit a initial high of 23,000, spiked up to 38,000 and change 8 months later, and then a few months after that we fell 50%. Now, I'm not saying the same is going to happen in the States, but obviously I'm just back from the States, having spent the last couple of weeks over there. They all love Trump, all the businesses love Trump. The 21% tax rate is just their manna for heaven for them. But everybody you talk to is a bull. There's no bears out there. This is not sustainable, but again, we need a catalyst for the market to fall back. If we go back to the 2013 situation, the last time the government shut down, the VIX spiked to 20. We had quite a bit of volatility up and down in the market, so hopefully something similar will happen. Personally, I can't see a vote getting through the House today when we vote at 5 o'clock. So I'm looking for a spike in volatility over the next couple of weeks, hopefully two-way as opposed to just one way that we've had over the last few months.
Okay, so this is the most unloved bull market in history, they reckon. Is it very easy to give trade signals on the bull at these lofty heights when you're 3 standard deviations away from the norm?
Well, it's very hard to be short. I tried to short a bit earlier on this year and I got killed. So, obviously my stops were tight. I mean, it took 23 days for the Dow to go from 24 to 25,000.
Was that a record instantly?
Initially, and then that was broken. That was just hammered. Then the last one went from 25 to 26 in 7 trading days. So it's been an incredible move. As you said, it's the most unloved bull market in history, but you can't be short until we get a sell extreme.
Yep.
A sell extreme means we have a 3% sell-off that sticks, as opposed to every dip we've had has been bought. Even when the government shut down on Friday night, we didn't know when the vote was going to take place today, and the S&P just sold off initially on the open last night and was bought back straight away. So,
right.
So the bulls are in control. They're driving every short position. Sentiment is at record levels.
Yep.
I'm a huge follower of the daily sentiment index.
Which is back to 87 levels.
Oh, it's 30-year highs. It's very similar to what's happened with the 87 crash. But again, the big thing for me this year is what the Fed do. And there's 3 rate hikes priced in. Each rate hike slows down the money supply by 50 billion. So that's another 150 billion on top of the 450 billion that's in stone that will not be discussed at the FOMC meeting. So they're cutting the balance sheet by another 450 billion this year. So if they over tighten on that side, the World Bank came out and said growth's going to be 3% this year, of which 2.2 is going to be the developed world. So it's really just bull, but yet the population is aging. The property market is not really going up, despite all everyone saying how great. There's no average earnings at all, which is a huge problem. So there's no wage inflation.
Okay, because I've got to ask you this question. I've, like you, worked in the markets for many years, or if indeed decades. Stock market tops, okay? Everyone says, I picked the top of the market, okay? Invariably, people actually decide that's the top after the event. What are the telltale signs for you, okay, when you're trying to pick a top?
Well, I'm trying to see negative divergence. We had a small...
With your momentum to the price action.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like the S&P and the Nasdaq made a new all-time high yet again on Friday. The Dow didn't. 26,153 is the next level in the Dow. We're kind of 100 points below that as I come into this chat. So we'll see if the Dow can break above that. If we do break above that, then they're all at new all-time highs. So that's one thing you're looking at. Internally, I look at the McLennan oscillator to see how weak or strong that is. That's been incredibly weak with this bull market, certainly over the last 6 months. Very, very rare have been over 200, which doesn't make sense when you consider how high the stock market is at record high after record high. Yep. So there are 2 of the things I'm looking at. And then you're trying to see what happens in Europe. The DAX, which had been underperforming, suddenly with Merkel after 4, which is incredible, 4 months she's finally will be able to form a government, and that's got a bit of a bid on Friday and today, having traded sideways for 4 months. The FTSE has been low to rally, haven't had a huge rally over the last since Brexit, struggled with the renewed strength of sterling. So there's a few divergences that is not, going across the rest of the markets. And the S&P, there's no doubt the S&P, the Dow and the Nasdaq, they're way above what the other indices, world indices are. So that is a problem.
Okay, so last comments, okay, what would your advice be to people watching this interview in terms of the markets? How would they position themselves? 60% cash, 90% cash, buy some out of the money, put options, be short futures?
Short futures very dangerous. I would certainly buy out of the money puts. I wouldn't have more than 40% of my money in the stock market at this stage. You've got to be very, as soon as we get this 3 or 4% correction, everyone's going to try and get out the exits at the same time. We've seen the FANG stocks underperform, and then Apple repatriates the money, suddenly Apple goes back up again. So it's, rotation from one sector into another. You've got to keep an eye on that. The Nasdaq has a projection, having broken that 6,600 area, can easily go back up to 7,400 for a new all-time high. The Dow could easily go up to the next level on the Dow, resistance-wise, is 26,600. So I pick levels, try to sell into it. My S&P target was 2800 to 2825. We're in that at the minute. If we can't break above this 2825 over the next few days, we could well have a retracement back. But I think you'd be a buyer at 2750 if we get back down there.
Understood, Brian. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Nick.